Hey, reporters, welcome back to my channel. It's time to finally talk about the Love is Blind Season 4 reunion. Sorry I've been delayed on this. It came out when I was vacationing with my friends. I was in Geneva, minding my own business. And honestly, let me just say this. I don't know who told these people to do a live reunion. It added absolutely nothing. In fact, the quality was worse than the typical reunions that we would do. You know what I mean? So it wasn't worth the wait, to be honest with you. But hopefully this recap at the very least is. We're going to have to talk about Kwame and his major lie about his relationship with Micah and everything. And I've got the receipts to prove that that man was lying when he claimed that he was about to go ahead and dump Micah. Okay, I've got the videos and everything, so stay tuned for that. But as usual, let's start our recap off at the very top. Okay, so we get into Brett and Tiffany. We make a little bit of a joke in regards to the comment that Tiffany had previously made to Brett at their wedding about wanting to sneak off to the bridal suite to get it on for a little quickie. They go, oh, we've got footage from that bridal suite, and it was actually just Tiffany sleeping. They were joking, but I don't know. It was kind of a lame joke to me, but I digress. I also want to say, because of this live format, a lot of things fell through the cracks. Usually, like live reunions for shows are filmed over several hours, like 10 plus hours, and then they just put together the best pieces. They don't have all these things dragging along like we did in this recap. So you know what really fell through the cracks for me? I wanted to know, now that Kwame and Chelsea are shockingly married, did Chelsea get to take on Kwame's last name? That was something that was very important to her. His mother didn't want her to do it, and we never got to find out, because guess what? Someone seemed a little bit tipsy. I'm not going to say who, no, so, but I digress. Okay, so speaking of Chelsea, she looked better than ever. I have to say, she looked really, really pretty at this reunion. The mean girls, Micah and Irina, looked incredibly orange, but I did like Irina's dress. Now, Josh and Jackie, they each had different excuses for why they were not able to attend their reunion. I already have a TikTok video about this, right? About the discrepancies in their stories. So Josh said that he wanted to go, but he couldn't go at the last minute, but doesn't say why. And then Jackie says that she wanted to go, and she and Josh both fought to go, but they weren't able to due to security concerns with it being live and everything, them receiving threats and whatnot. So I don't know. I honestly feel like they could not handle the heat, and so they chose to stay out of the kitchen. Because if it were a security issue, I do feel as though it would have been mentioned on the show that they had to stay away for security purposes. It was kind of just like a passing situation. It was not addressed with the severity that it should have been if what Jackie's claiming were indeed true, right? And if I'm wrong, and if Jackie is telling the truth that they had to stay away due to security reasons, and Netflix didn't take the opportunity to say, hey guys, this is a show. These are real people. You don't need to go and threaten them or anything like that. Then shame on them for not taking that opportunity to cool things down at least a little bit. I want to know where you guys fall on that. What do you think is the truth of what happened? And if you think that Jackie's the one that's telling the truth about them not being able to go due to security reasons, is it like kind of an L on Netflix or Kinetic Productions' side for not properly handling the messaging and protecting their talent at the end of the day? Let me know what you think. So back to Chelsea and Kwame. So you know how they have that kind of like tacky engagement shoot or whatever? It turns out Chelsea has like this obsession with Calvin Klein for whatever reason. They used to even have Calvin Klein dates in the pods, and she had Kwame change into some underwear or something, and they would just like sit there talking in their underwear. I don't know, you guys. Like, Chelsea seems like a nice enough girl, but I do also find her to be like kind of tacky and like odd. But listen, if she likes it and Kwame loves it, then good for them. Now, I will say on the show, it never looked like Kwame was really feeling Chelsea like that. It always felt as though he was more attracted to and gravitated more towards Micah. But during this reunion, I am finally seeing the love. They did look like a couple in love. Even the body language in this photo of him having his arms open to her and she's leaning into him and everything, it seems like it's something good. So I will say congratulations to them for being able to make it through that show. a lot of contestants are now coming out claiming that like they're heavily manipulated and just treated really poorly while filming. I don't know if it's true or not. And that some of their relationships make it in spite of all the games that the show plays. So I do want to say congrats to Kwame and Chelsea for making it, because it didn't look like it was going to happen, to be honest with you. Now, Chelsea and Micah, we never show a clip of her. They show a never before seen clip of Chelsea and Micah next talking about the inappropriate nature of Micah and Kwame's poolside flirting. Remember that when they were both talking about what could have been between the two of them, and they were just like holding hands. Basically, he was spinning around like her ring in his finger and everything. Like, it was a very, like, to me, gross scene to engage people flirting like this. Chelsea basically just wants to know what's going on from Micah's perspective and said, listen, I get it. We both fell in love with the same person. That's what this experience kind of leads to, but we need to move on, right? Go your separate way. You got your fiance, I got mine. So stop it. Now, Kwame, after this scene is shown, he does a stand-up thing, which is he apologizes to Chelsea, Chelsea's family, his family, all the viewers who supported them as a couple. And I really like that. I was like, Kwame, you know, the body language is looking good. The smiles are looking good. So, and now for him to apologize, it just solidified for me a little bit more that he really did, like, you know, eventually fall hardcore in love with Chelsea. So that was really sweet. I don't get, though, why he was acting like he was getting ready to break up with Micah before proposing to Chelsea. I've been recapping every single episode of this show, you guys. You guys have hopefully been watching every single one of my recaps as well. And in these recaps, we saw episode 1 or 2 of the show, and I've got the receipt here for you guys, so stay tuned. Chelsea tells Kwame in the pods that she just wants to get engaged to him right here, right now. She knows he's the one. What does Kwame do? His signature laugh situation whenever Chelsea says anything about pushing their relationship forward. And then we get another scene, which was Kwame telling us that Chelsea's great and everything, but who I really really want is Micah, right? So why don't we take a look at the video that I just made on my TikTok account. If you're on TikTok, please do make sure to check out my Grace Report TikTok. I have different types of content on there than on my YouTube channel. And sometimes I don't post all my videos on YouTube. So if you don't want to miss out, make sure you follow my TikTok account. So I'm just going to pull up the video receipts that I've got here of him getting ready to propose. I pulled the receipts to show you that Kwame was lying during the Love is Blind season 4 reunion when he claimed that he wanted to dump Micah. Chelsea. We already knew it was a lie, but let me just pull the receipts anyway for.
With Chelsea, I see this very ride or die who would not ever allow you to feel unwanted. But at the same time, like, I'm very, very set on Micah, and I'm ready to propose to her. But
there you go. He said, Chelsea's great and everything. I know she loves my ass, but Micah is the one that I want to get with. Micah is the one I want to propose to. He goes in that room. He asks Micah if he can propose to her early, and Micah turns him down for Paul. So I don't know where he gets off sitting there at the reunion claiming that he wrote this whole breakup letter to her. So there you go, you guys. We were not seeing things. Like when he was sitting there claiming that he was getting ready to break up with Micah, I'm like, am I crazy? Because I'm pretty sure I saw this man talk about, first of all, laugh off Chelsea wanting to marry him and asking him to propose so that he can go to Micah and ask her if he can propose to her early. And then we all saw the way he cried like his soul had been ripped out of his body when she turned him down for Paul. Like no part of that said that he had a breakup letter. It was pages long. They had run their course, you know. And Micah, honestly, she was really nice for not calling it out on the show. If it were me and you were playing with my name like that, absolutely effing not. I would be like, run that tape, run that damn tape. And if he were wanting to break up with her, why was he acting like this every time he saw her? He lost the love of his life. And then when he was talking to Paul about how everyone is the villain in someone's story, and he's looking at Paul like this, as if Paul is a villain in his story because Micah chose him, you know, like it was just a bunch of BS. I get it, Kwame, you finally fell in love with your girl, but that doesn't mean that you need to rewrite history. We all know, we all saw the way it really went down. Now, And then, by the way, remember another instance where he was flirting with Micah was at his own fiance's birthday party. We're all celebrating Chelsea. He goes to the side and he asks Micah for the millionth time if she really wants to get married. Obviously, because he wants her to tell him, no, I want it to be you. I made a mistake. Let's run away together, right? But he completely denied it at the reunion as well. Now, when it comes to Chelsea's relationship with Kwame's family, his sister Barbara was very wonderful, loving, and open, and she just really wanted Chelsea to be a part of the family. But his mother wanted no parts of the situation. This is a second marriage reality show that her son has decided to sign himself up for, and she just wasn't having it. She did not want to meet Chelsea, like nothing. She wanted no parts of this show. Well, now we're finding out that she did finally agree to meet Chelsea, and that Kwame's sister Barbara is a great mediator between the two of them. I guess the mom's like, okay, enough with Chelsea, but still not loving it. But okay, listen, baby steps at the end of the day. Now, you guys, can we also talk about Vanessa and these babies? Like, that girl just does not stop it. Like, she's just asking constantly, when are you having babies? When are you having babies? Like, Vanessa, girl, these people barely know each other. They got married within 1 year of meeting. There's no reason for them to jump into having babies with literal strangers, okay? They're not in their mid to late 40s. These are like people in their 20s and people in their early to mid 30s. It'll be okay. Let them get to know each other a bit more before having kids, please. Right? I don't like people who beg others to have kids. It's like, are you going to be there raising them for me? Are you paying the bills for the baby? Are you going to be there staying up at night with the baby for me? Like, what is the reason why you are so pressed about whether or not I have kids? You know, I really don't like that. And I'm glad that she's been called out for it a lot online. So she did, the first couple that she did this to was Zack and Bliss. And so they explained that they're not yet ready to do it. And I'm like, good for you. Then we finally get to talk about Bliss's dad. Remember, I was not really feeling Bliss's dad, right? Like, he seemed like a very mean person. It's okay to not really be on board with the experiment and whatnot, but just the way that he was talking down to Bliss and Zack, and just like his general attitude and demeanor, he was not like the vibe for me. He was not the move. But apparently he has warmed up to Zack. She's saying that the two of them now are like really friendly and whatnot. Like, they can never stop talking to each other, and it is just absolutely great. So I'm like, okay, good for them. I'm happy, because it really did seem like Zack was being unfairly treated by Bliss's father. So I'm glad that at the very least things have kind of picked up in that respect, you know. I guess maybe Zack has gotten into fishing or golfing or something like that, or maybe the dad started getting into like the legal system and how it's unfair. Now, can we get into that Mean Girls segment? Remember, Micah and Irina were being very, very mean girls throughout the season. They seemed to be bullying the other girls, laughing at their pain and whatnot. In my opinion, I always felt as though Micah was the leader of this. It was typically Micah telling Irina to do things. Like, when she told Irina to go listen in on that conversation that Irina was laughing at, like, she was the this and Irina was the this. Right. And then when they laughed at Amber getting flowers from Paul, it was because Micah was threatened by that because she too liked Paul. But for some reason, the person who caught all the flack for that like mean girl behavior on the show is Irina. Listen, Micah was very smart to just stay quiet, let her catch all the heat and everything, because you don't want that type of stuff associated with your name, right? But at the same time, I did feel for Irina that like she had to take the entire fall for it, because she was not like 100% the reason that like this stuff happened. In my opinion, she was just someone who was obsessed with another girl, wanted to like impress her and everything like that. Like, it really felt like she just wanted to get like acceptance and to feel cool by aligning herself with Mean Girl Micah. So again, like, because this was live, we never got to really get down to the root of this and everything like that. Like, and Micah really got to just be let off the hook. But I do think another reason why Irina was like taken to task more so than Micah was because Irina was not only mean to the women, but she was quite mean to Paul, to her ex-fiance, Zack, as well. So I get it from that perspective. It's not fun, but listen, this is what you did, girl, and this is how you're going to go ahead and pay your dues for it, right? She handled it pretty well. I felt like she hired like a public relations person or something to help her like really like take accountability and whatnot. So kudos to her for that. One thing I will point out about this audience for not only Love is Blind, but like reality TV in general, is that it's a very hypocritical audience. They will dislike people for being mean. They'll be like, oh, you're a bully, you're this, you're that, you're really unfair and you're really mean. But then they will do the exact same thing to these people that they hate in these people, right? Like when it comes, Irina, Jackie, and Micah all had to close their comments for a bit because people were harassing and bullying them so badly. So it's really ironic to me that like you guys are against them for the way they treat other people. Meanwhile, you feel like it's okay to treat them this way, right? Like that's really ironic. So again, Irina, she did a job taking responsibility for her actions and everything. But at a certain point, a little bit later, when they start talking about her situation with Zack in particular, she seems to start trying to hide behind mental health, which, okay, I get anxiety can make it difficult for you to speak your mind in certain situations, but I'm not sure that it makes you full-blown be cruel to people, right? Like it turns out that like she had been two-faced to Zack and Bliss. Like after she leaves Zack in Mexico, she texts Bliss that she dodged a bullet in Zack. And then when she finds out that Zack and Bliss are together, she goes to Zack and text, congratulations, good luck with your relationship or whatever. Like it was very, very weird, you have to say. Now, when they asked Zack his thoughts about Irina and the relationship, whether or not she ever took it seriously, Zack claims that Irina never ever took that relationship seriously, and he accuses her of only doing the show to become famous, which I'm sorry, all of you guys did this show to become famous to some degree, okay? You're all out there doing these little influencer videos on TikTok, on Instagram. That includes you, Zack. I don't see Bliss really doing it, but I'm seeing a lot of it from Paul. I've seen a lot of it from Zack. I think Zack even has a YouTube and stuff. I've seen a lot of it, most of it from Marshall. So it's not just Irina, okay? I think all of you, to a certain degree, wanted to be on TV and wanted to be famous, So, and by the way, Micah, when she did the Vile Files podcast, she was like, okay, well, how crazy is it that Zack said that when he was promoting his Instagram like twice throughout this reunion, which I felt was quite funny. Now, Zack still does seem to be quite hurt by what it is that Irina did to him, which is understandable, right? Like to be rejected on that level and on TV and then watching it back a year later, of course, the pain is going to come back. He does also say that like there was some generous editing for Bliss because we only saw like 10% of the stuff that she did to him. And he claims to have forgiven her and says that he believes that she will become a great person one day, which is quite shady, right? Like it felt like he was doing a couple of attacks on Irina, which, okay, on its own, you, Zack, have every right to speak the way you feel. And if you still have anger and like you want to be shady, go ahead. But like the way that he was so hypocritical when Micah called out Paul for his nasty comments about her like ability to be a mother and whatnot, like we're going to get into that later. I don't like his response to that. I felt like it was hypocritical considering the way he chose to put Irina down this reunion. Now, again, I don't think it's fair for the host of this show to play dumb with contestants like Irina and ask why she stayed on the show if she was not attracted to Zack. We all know at this point, former contestants have said, not just one, not just two, at least 3 of them have said that they are forced to continue filming even when they know they don't like the person and don't want to marry the person, right? They're threatened with fines if they don't comply with filming and make it to the very end of the show. So for the hosts who know this, to sit up there and ask them, well, why did you, it stokes the fires and the flame to give people the idea that these people treat people that they're not attracted to unfairly or they string them along for the hell of it. And I don't like that. I think it's manipulative and I think it's very dangerous to put that message out there knowing that it's not true. Irina, she alluded to it in her response about it, right? She's like, I was basically forced is what she said, but she cuts herself off and tries to word it in a nicer way, but we all already heard it. Now, Micah, at this point, she talked about Irina going for Paul and she was like, this is supposed to be my best friend and blah, blah, blah. Like, I didn't understand it, but Here's the thing, Micah, you told your best friend a couple of times that you were not attracted to Paul. So I can see why Irina thought it was okay to start developing these feelings for this guy that she thought that you were about to leave. You know, like it took her a while to tell you, and I don't like that. But again, it's hard to have this sort of conversation. And your fiance Paul flirted right back with her, and I felt like he's the one who should have been forthcoming about that with her. Now, when Paul was asked about his flirting with Irina, like they were both flirting with each other, it wasn't just her. He says that there are boundaries in his relationship with Micah that he knew he was not crossing. Apparently, they're allowed to flirt with other people so long as they're not banging other people in that relationship, which I feel like is a slippery slope. I would not have that in a relationship of mine. By the way, I didn't love the way Paul got away with like spanking the bridesmaid on like the booty hip area as he was leaving. Like he does accidentally bump her on the way out. And so he does explain it away, the tap, the love tap, as him like acknowledging that he accidentally bumped her. But why can't you use your mouth to acknowledge it? Like, oh, sorry. And then continue. You don't need to like tap her. That relationship is very scandalous. When Micah did the Vile Files interview podcast, she talked about how she doesn't follow Paul anymore, but that bridesmaid that he love tapped still follows Paul, like, and he follows her, and they like each other's photos and stuff. Y'all, I'm telling you, something's going down there. But Nick Vile kept telling her, your friends are not your real friends. Like, keep an eye out. But she's writing for those girls. Those are her girls, and she's going to stick beside them. Good luck, girl. Don't come crying to us when they screw you over, when you find out that girl is banging your ex, right? So at this point, Micah starts crying about the breakdown of their relationship. And I'm sorry, you guys, I don't buy Micah's tears. I don't believe that she genuinely would have said yes to Paul. I did not see any like love between the two of them. I saw two awkward people getting to know each other, but who did not have a profound love yet, you know, which is fine. But I need you to be honest about it, Micah, instead of trying to play the victim here. It did come across very manipulative. She claimed that she was going to say yes at the altar, but she needed for Paul to prove that he actually wanted to say yes on his own as well, which, okay, that's fine and dandy. But if you even have to ask at this point, then why do you want to marry someone who you're not sure about, right? On that level. I don't get it, to be honest with you. I truly don't. And she says that Paul's comments about her motherhood were gross, especially because he knows how hard it was for her parents to conceive her. She's a miracle baby and everything. And so, yeah, I already thought like Debez, at the base of it, Paul's comments were gross and they were very nasty and almost misogynistic about like whether or not she'd make a good mom. But yeah, like now knowing that her family had these like fertility issues, she's a miracle baby, and so she really desperately wanted to have kids. It just made his comments all the worse, in my opinion, and I don't think he caught enough flack for it. He tried to explain that away and stuff. He's like, I didn't see a nurturing side, and it's like, Paul, you speak like a damn algorithm. You don't know how to think with your heart. Like, you've never had a conversation with your heart a day in your life. So who are you to sit up there and say that this girl is not going to be a good mom? As I don't see X, Y, or Z from a nurturing perspective. He is like the least emotional person that I've ever seen on the show. Okay. So I felt like it was incredibly unfair considering the way that he is and the way that he presents himself and stuff, right? Like it was just really unfair. You don't need to take things to that level. It's okay to say we're not a good match, but to go and attack someone like that, gross. It's truly, truly gross. So again, Vanessa really tried to get to the bottom of this. She was asking Paul a bunch of questions about like how he came to this conclusion. He couldn't give a solid answer, right? And so Micah asked, okay, well, if you felt this way, well, why did you not ask me to address certain things? You know, if I knew that this was going to be a deal breaker for you, like whatever, I would have done X, Y, or Z, which I thought was a great question. And so you know what Paul says? I felt like his lack of relationship experience really jumped out when he goes, oh, well, I don't want to like make you change who you are. Like if you're not already like this, then it's never going to be like that. It's like, okay, you've never been in a long-term relationship, Paul, and it shows. Your immaturity is insane to me. It's very simple to ask for certain things in a relationship. And if a person really wants to be with you, they will make those adjustments. If you say, oh, I would like for you to hug me more, to compliment me more, to do like certain things a little bit more in our relationship, that's not changing a person. That is voicing your needs and seeing a person like change their behavior in order to adapt to you because they care for you and they love you, right? You're not asking her to change who she is fundamentally. Like I thought it was an absolutely ridiculous and childish response on his end. Now, and I didn't like, this is where we get back into Zack. I really didn't like that at this point, Zack jumps in to claim that Micah is attacking Paul. And I'm like, on what planet? She is responding to very cruel comments that Paul made about her ability to be a mother. She's asking him great questions about how the hell he came to that conclusion. So what does that have to do with Zack, right? And for Zack to claim that she is just going scorched earth after the way he treated Irina, talking about, you did this to be famous, right? And then what else did he say about her? I think one day you could be a good person. Incredibly hypocritical. I know a lot of you guys love this guy, but I'm sorry. No, absolutely not. No. It was an A and B conversation, so I don't see why his ass was meddling in it. Okay. Ugh, it icked me out. Now, Micah gets asked about her mean friends. Remember the friends who were laughing at her when she got humiliated at the altar by Paul, especially Shelby, who would mean to Paul and just Micah from the very moment we met her. And Micah, she stands by these people. She claims they're good people and like it's just in the editing or whatever, but she stands by them. Can we take a closer look at how orange these people are? My goodness gracious. Let's take a pause there. She says that Shelby's main concern was that she and Paul were moving too quickly before really getting to know each other. Like when she'd ask Paul, like, what are your favorite things about Micah, like qualities? He always would just like kind of struggle to answer it. And he'd answer very shallow things, which is fair enough, right? I get it. But again, the Shelby girl, in my opinion, is not a real friend. I could never in my freaking life have a Shelby as a friend. No, it seems like an enemy more than anything. I will say though, that I appreciated Zack. Let me just go circle back to Zack being nosy and meddling in a conversation that doesn't involve him. I will say that I appreciated him for calling out Micah's fakeness. Micah, you did not want to marry Paul. You just want to look like the victim. Okay. Apparently Micah had been telling a bunch of people that is she the same skin tone as Tiffany with all this tanner on? Let me take a look. She practically is. She might even be darker than Tiffany. I'm sorry, you spray tanning people, but what is this? It looks a mess. I'm so distracted. So apparently Micah had been telling a bunch of people that she, like crap about Paul and how she never wanted to marry him and whatnot. And so Zack called that out. And I'm like, good, because I don't believe it. There's no way. Absolutely no. She just wants to play victim after coming across as a mean girl for the season. Her breathing was really funny when Zack called that out. Like she started breathing really heavily, like, damn, I'm busted. We did find out that for some reason, even though Micah was going to make a terrible mother, according to Paul, they dated for a week after the show. Paul, why did you date this girl? If you didn't think she'd make a good mom, why did you date her? Right? And so we get back into Jackie. Jackie starts talking about why Marshall wanted that ring back. She claims that Marshall wanted it to propose to another girl that he was dating in the pods. Marshall denied it, but listen, I wouldn't be surprised, right? Zack did it. Why wouldn't Marshall? We didn't get to see his romance play out with the other girl, but it might have been a situation like Zack and Bliss versus Zack and Irina. So I don't know. Maybe that was the case. Who knows? But I think Marshall could have gone back and gotten a new ring if that was something that he wanted to do, right? Because I don't think that Irina had to give Zack back her ring. I don't think that Zack proposed to Bliss with Irina's old ring. No. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? She did, though, Jackie, going back to her, she took responsibility for having a bit of a firecracker personality. And I thought it was funny when she was talking about like seeing Josh's face for the first time after only hearing his voice in the pod. She's like, oh my God, I had PTSD when I saw his face. I'm like, Marshall was like, girl, PTSD, what the heck? It was really, really funny. Obviously, that's not what she meant, right? Maybe she meant like deja vu or something like that, or just like a knowingness. So again, here comes Vanessa asking Jackie and Josh, of all people, why would you ask a Jackie and a Josh when they're having kids? Like these volatile, like, I'm sorry, but these volatile, unstable people, you want them to pop out kids, Vanessa? For what? Are you okay? Like, what good will it do for you if these people have kids? I need someone to ask her that one day. Like, how is it going to change your life if we have kids? Please. Now, we get back into Marshall, right, after seeing the conversation between Jack and Josh. It was a pre-recorded interview. So Marshall gets to respond, and he has a little bit of an attitude with Vanessa. So she decides to have an attitude with him. And so she asks him, like, okay, so when did Jackie break up with you, blah, blah. So Marshall says it doesn't matter if she broke up with him before the coffee date. It's a huge deal that she went and dated someone else immediately after, which I'm sorry, but if we can support Zack and Bliss, we have to support Jackie and Josh going, running their relationship that way. It came out, Marshall confirmed it during the Val Files podcast that Jackie did not cheat on him. She dumped him before she got with Josh. So in my opinion, because she did that, and under these circumstances of the show, it's fine that they got together. Just like it's fine that after getting dumped by Irina, Zack went back and got with Bliss. So we get into the comments that were leaked where Jackie was telling her friends that she thinks that Marshall's a little sweet, Marshall's a little gay or something like that. And that in response to that, Marshall made some other comments to Jackie. He was like, oh, how do I know you were born a woman, Jackie? I'm like, wow, not St. Marshall speaking like that. That's crazy. That's wild. Jackie claims that he called her the T word that masculine looking women are called. I'm not saying she's masculine looking. Marshall apparently called her that. And Marshall denies it. He claims that the word is not in his vocabulary. I don't like when people say that. Okay. I think it's a little, those protest too much. Do I think he said the T word? I don't know. I can't say one way or the other, right? But it's a possibility. It definitely is a possibility that he said that to her. I think they both wanted to really hurt each other at this point, and that the gloves were off. The only thing I will say about this, though, is that Jackie, when she was on Twitter, and I've got videos about this, she claimed that she had receipts of Marshall saying this. She said that she had a recording and everything. Meanwhile, she's sitting up there in her private interview with Vanessa Lachey, able to pull out whatever receipt she wants, but we don't have anything. So I'm going to have to go ahead and say that I'm giving Marshall the benefit of the doubt here. Jackie, you promised receipts. You didn't deliver them, so I'm not sure I can believe you on that. Marshall claims that he thought they were joking when they were saying these horrible things to each other. I'm like, is this how you joke in your relationships, Marshall? Because to me, it would have been very obvious that we are trying to draw blood. Like, what? It turns out that he did date another girl after the situation with Jackie. Her name was Keisha, but he wasn't emotionally ready. So he just decided to end that relationship. Or maybe she left him, or it wasn't really made clear who left who. Now, speaking of that, it makes me wonder how Zack was able to bounce back so quickly to propose to Bliss within a couple of days and marry her within a couple of weeks after his heartbreak from Irina. That's really interesting. I need a long time to recover from heartbreak, so I don't know how he did it so quickly. Marshall, he calls for a truce with Jackie. He begs everyone to let them move on. All right, sure. Then we get some tours of these couples' homes and everything, and oh, Lord. No one told Zack to stop singing yet, because he is over there singing this song to Bliss. And oh God, just like the song he sang to Irina, I'm cringing. You can see all the cast cringing and everything. But Bliss has those like hearts in her eyes. She's like loving, whatever this is. Vanessa then goes on and pushes the baby thing again. I'm praying for our first Love Is Blind baby. Girl, pray to sober up, because you were a mess this reunion. What the hell? Alex Kwame wants us to know that he's proud of his name. He blames editing for making him look like he hates his culture and his race and whatnot. And he said that, but he said that he wanted to go by Alex because it wouldn't fit him in a box, which is like absolute BS. If you say your name is Alex, people would typically assume you're white. Okay, so stop it to me. It's not a neutral name. Now, we also get claims that Kwame is not being held hostage by Chelsea. That was quite funny. And then Bartiz, remember, Bartiz had a baby recently with this girl. It turns out that he got her pregnant just before or just after filming Perfect Match. We don't know exactly when. The girl, she was between two baby daddies, apparently. I was creeping her thing. Let me tell you this. I didn't make a video about this because I saw the comments about her on Facebook groups and in her own TikTok and stuff, and they were bad. This girl just had a baby, okay? And people are in her comments calling her horrible things about her looks and this and that. And it's just, wow, like, I didn't want that in my comment section, so I'm like, I'm not touching this. So anyway, yeah, he shows off his baby and asks who's gonna have more babies, and it's like, God, did Vanessa put you up to this? Like, shut up about the damn babies, man. Like, what the hell? Like, Bartiz, your baby mama didn't even know if you were the dad. You didn't even know you had a baby for a while. Like, and you think you in that freaking, like, I'm sorry, but ratchet situation have any nerve? You think you can sit up there and encourage people to have kids when this is your situation? I'm sorry, but F right off. Absolutely not, you know? My God. I hate that. It's really annoying. Tiffany and Brett, when they're asked about the baby situation, because of course Vanessa has to ask, they say they want to travel more. They're enjoying each other. They're getting to know each other and stuff. Like, let it go. Like, Brett pretty much lets it know that he's tired of this question being asked. And I'm like, good for you, you know? Like, my God, like, shut up. They don't know each other. And so she doesn't take the hint at this point. So she asks everybody else, like, when are you having babies? When are you having babies? Girl, bye. I just met my husband like a couple, they're not even a year in. They're like 11 months in. I just met this man 11 months ago. Why would I be popping out a baby with him? Vanessa, please answer that for me. Did you pop out a baby with Nick within 11 months of meeting him? No. So why do you think I got to do that? Jeez. Anyway, you guys, again, I'm sorry I was late with this recap. I've been busy traveling and trying to put together my dossier to stay another year or a couple years here in France. It's been stressing me out like crazy, but fingers crossed, okay? Hopefully you enjoyed this recap. As always, I'm dying to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and I will be standing by to respond to them. That's all for now. Take care. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.